Jamie here with TAC Air. Today we're going to talk about a huge question that comes up. Why is my air compressor leaking? So a lot of times people will have a compressor, they'll use it for years and years, and all of a sudden one day the compressor shuts off and you hear a whole bunch of air leaking out. So what's usually happening in this scenario, if it's only leaking when the compressor shuts off, is you have a pressure switch that looks like this. So on the side of your pressure switch, it's going to be equipped with an unloader valve. Sometimes the unloader valve is not located on your pressure switch. Sometimes it's located on the actual compressor pump itself. That's typically on higher end, more commercial grade units. But somewhere on your compressor, there's going to be an unloader, which its purpose is to unload the pressure off the head of the pump when the compressor shuts off. So it's bleeding the air between the head and the tank of the tank of the compressor, which is protected by a check valve. I got a whole bunch of different styles of check valves here. These are the most common ones I chose just to show some examples. But this check valve, it would typically be located in the top of the tank or the side, and your main line coming off the pump of your compressor goes right into this valve before it goes into the tank. This valve actually sticks down into the tank. So this valve's purpose is to keep the air in the tank. It's a one-way check valve so the air cannot come back up to the head. So the unloader that we talked about, that is bleeding the pressure between the head and the tank when it shuts off. If this valve goes bad, so there's a glass-filled poppet in here, which is a high temp seal basically, that's spring-loaded, that comes back and shuts when the air's not flowing through. If that spring is broken, if that poppet gets worn, if there's a piece of debris in there, sometimes something can go wrong in the compressor, and you can get parts or pieces from the compressor stuck in this valve. Either way, this valve will not be sealing, and it will continually let air back out of the tank through this unloader valve until the compressor kicks back on. So whether your unloader valve's on the switch or the pump, it's going to continue to leak out of there until it kicks back on. The bad part about this is when the compressor goes to start, it's starting under pressure. So when the compressor starts under pressure, it's putting extreme load on the motor. And so you're going to either burn your motor up or something's going to happen to where you're going to have even a more costly repair. The great part about check valves is they're not super expensive, but there's lots of different sizes. Well, oftentimes when I get this question, the first thing someone does is they call in, they're like, I need a new pressure switch. My pressure switch is leaking and I need to replace it. So then they replace it and they find out I'm still having the same issue because all along it's the check valve. So it's really important to know when it's leaking. If something on this pressure switch is leaking while the compressor is running and when it shuts off and it's not coming from that unloader, it's very possible that the diaphragm and the switch is bad or there's other issues that I plan on talking about in a later video. But for now, the check valve, these check valves come in many different sizes. This is an in-tank style. This has male threads that screw into the tank, female threads on top. And these come anywhere from 1/4 inch up to 1.5 inches is the most common. This is the same type of valve, obviously smaller. This is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch compression, but this has compression threads on top. So if you have like a copper tube that screws directly into the check, or that screws directly onto the check valve, this is a very common size. This is actually a check valve with an inverted flare. It looks like female threads, but there's an inverted flare in here. This is very common on Ingersoll Rand air compressors. You have inline check valves, which are typically just located in that line that we talked about from the compressor head to the tank sometimes. And if you have a style of check valve that's really old and they don't make it anymore, this is an option that a lot of people go with because it's easy to configure into an airline. And then you have a lot of check valves that look like this. These are often found on imported air compressors that usually are imported from different places that have different thread sizes. These are very complicated to find replacements for sometimes because they're not always a standard pipe thread. Some of them are British pipe threads, some of them are metric. and they come in all different configurations. So if you have a check valve that looks like this, it's oftentimes best to know the brand of the compressor and try to go back to the manufacturer and get it. We do carry a few different styles. This is off of a Puma. This is off of like a Harbor Freight style compressor. So if you're looking at our website and can't find a valve that looks like this, that's similar to yours, you can always reach out to us. But we have all these types of check valves on our website and more. And if you're unsure about any of these issues, you can feel free to reach out to us anytime. Visit our website at www.taccair.com. That's TACCAIR.com. Thanks for watching this video.